I'm not trying to speak on behalf of all my friends, all black people, all Bristol students, nothing like that. I'm Jordan, I'm speaking for Jordan. Anyone is free to disagree or agree with what I'm saying. I'm not on any side other than my own side. What is going on, guys? This is obviously Jordan here with another video, and today is going to be the complete, the beginning of a new, kind of like a series, but also kind of like just a random set of videos I'm going to put out. This is just going to be called Opinion Corner. Here I am in the corner of sacred opinions. Literally the whole point in these videos is I'm going to set my camera up and just talk about things that are on my mind. No script. Well, I mean, in this video there's sort of a script because otherwise I would have been talking smack for like 2 hours, but generally no script. Generally it's not going to be like fact checked or anything. It's going to be me literally speaking my opinion. The whole point, I guess, is one, to kind of clear my head of things that have been on my mind for a while, or some bigger topics, I guess. And also to try and like spark some sort of discussions with the community or my friends, family that are watching the videos. I've been planning to do this for a while. I just thought, nah, it's a bit off-brand. But you know what? 2021, we do what we want. So let's get it popping. This video, as I said, I do have a little bit of a script for it. It's not really a script. It's kind of like just my thoughts. Because, like, as you can tell from the title, this video is going to be about, like, well, I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, like Black Lives Matter or something, and obviously the jumper as well. Shout out artist name Nobody for this. I'll put a link for her Instagram page in the description below. But it's like, this has been on my mind for literally since what, May 25th. I remember the day of rest in peace George Floyd, and all the madness that happened last year in 2020. Obviously Breonna Taylor was in March. Who else died last year? Rashard Brooks. I've got a couple of names written down, but it's like I know most of these, like Ahmaud Arbery. Wasn't police, but was still like a matter of like racial tensions in America, and I don't know. It was just a mad year. So I thought, I wanted to talk about it. You know what? Let me actually just go into the video. But the first topic, instead of just being like my overview of like what what's going on in the black community, I thought let me let me start by saying why I didn't speak at the time, or like at least my early thoughts back in May, June, July of 2020, and then we'll go into like the actual content now. I was thinking to put. This is why I should script videos more. Well, yeah, whatever. Let's get into it. So as I said, the first thing I want to talk about is like why I didn't speak. Well, like not even why I didn't speak, but why I didn't make this video sooner or something, or like put more content out earlier. And it's literally because I was just mad. Like I was so angry for so long. I wanted time to like sleep on the issue. I wanted time to like come, to allow myself to come from a place of like calm and balance, as opposed to hurt and anger and stress and rage, because that's kind of what it was for a good part of 2020. I was seeing all this madness going on online, all this madness going on on the streets, all this madness everywhere, and I'm like, which is really, really annoying, really, really stressful. And I was like, I don't want to come from a place now where I'm talking just in an angry way. I didn't want to be angry. I'm not usually someone that gets stressed. I'm usually someone that kind of brushes off adversity when it comes to me. I'm not really someone that cares much about negative things. I see myself as a bit of a optimistic nihilist. Like, I kind of see the world as like we're all going to die eventually anyway. None of this really matters in the grand scheme of things. So let's just make the most of it while we're here, right? And if something bad does happen, yeah, it's annoying, but fundamentally, like, that's just the process, right? So I don't really get beaten down much by anything really, but all of that happening in June 2020 really had me down. And yeah, as I said, I do have some notes because I could go on for hours about this, but I do want this video to be somewhat structured and have like an obvious narrative, as opposed to just me speaking random opinions for 2.5 hours. But nonetheless, as I said, like, yeah, I wanted to sleep on it, kind of thing. Also, I wanted to allow people to like disappear, disperse. There were so many fake guys, so many people that were being performative on social media. I mean, we'll talk about social media again later on in the video, but it's like so many people were just performing, they were acting, they didn't really care. They were just putting up these posts so they could fit in with their friends, or for whatever. I'm not gonna go and attack people that I don't know, but it's like everyone is on the same page with me here. I can imagine, like, you see what's going on online, and then you see these guys in real life that aren't doing the same things, or of these friends or family that never ever have said anything before in their lives about black lives, about Muslims, about any social issue going on in the world right now regarding discrimination or the black and ethnic minority community. But suddenly in 2020, suddenly in June, everyone's got these black squares everywhere, Black Lives Matter, they're putting their fists up, all this stuff. Mass protests around the world. And don't get me wrong, if you're going to a protest, that's at least a big step up. At least you're physically doing something. But I'm sure we've all seen the pictures online of these like models and girls and stuff. And to be fair, guys probably as well. But the pictures I saw mostly were girls going there like with their banner, getting their friends to take a Polaroid picture of them, then they just go home afterwards. Like, you, like, what are you doing? How are you even satisfied letting that sort of stuff come out on the internet from like your own party or whatever? But nah, I just whatever. It's very performative, and I wanted to kind of allow those people to disappear from my conversation, I guess, because I had several chats in the actual period, you know, in June, May, June, July, and I noticed that those same people that I was talking to that didn't actually know what they were talking about, like they might use what I say as not a rite of passage, but like as a pass, like a get out of jail free card or something, or they might just take what I say out of context, or they take the wrong message away from it, or they'll completely ignore the context that I presented my argument in, and that's where you see all these fake like social media stats. Like as a football fan, you see this a lot with like football Twitter. It's like, oh, Bukayo Saka scored more goals than Martial this year, and it's like, okay, cool, but he's also played a lot more, way more minutes. And to be fair, I'm not like I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm not even gonna front. Like Saka is clear of Martial, but that's a chat for another day. I'm not gonna pit two black men against each other in a video literally talking about black lives. Just shout out to Arsenal and to Martial, the next Nico Pepe. Do you know that I'm looking through these notes, I realised they're not actually. I mean, obviously, as I said, it's not going to be a script, but this is so poorly written. I don't even know what I'm trying to say here. But the next point I have here is like I was scared and worried about my brand / image, and stepping on people's toes. That's not actually true. Now that I think about it. Like I was never really concerned about brand or image. Like I've always been somewhat vocal. The only thing is, I guess, what I was trying to say at that point is that I didn't want to create an isolated response, I guess. Like, I would much rather put out this video and then do more stuff later on and continue doing stuff and wear this around and talk to, you know, educate my friends who don't know any better than just put up one thing and leave that on its own. And even though I knew myself that after the cycle I would still be like, as a black man, I feel like I'm always fighting the system in some ways. Like, being the only one of you know, a small community in University of Bristol, for example, I feel like I've always got to do something. I'm always getting a second look. You're always active, you know, in your own skin to some degree. So I've never feel like I'm not doing enough. I mean, to be fair, I could be doing more. So maybe I'm I'm not doing enough. But by my standard, I've never been like dissatisfied by my actions. But I didn't want to put up like a black square and then have other people in my community see that I'm doing that, because people don't necessarily know what I'm doing behind the scenes, and that goes for everyone. Everyone's got a life outside of social media. Everyone's got a life. I mean, social media shouldn't actually be part of your life, but that's a chat for another day. So like, everyone's got a life outside of socials, and none of us really understand the context or the greater actions of other people's lives, and that also applies to me and applies to everyone watching this video. But I didn't want to create like an environment where people see me posting this one black square, and then, you know, a week later I post a picture of myself with my family, or like any random stuff, and then that creates an image of, you know, this is acceptable, this one thing is okay, even though, as I said, people don't know everything that goes on. I didn't want to allow that to even manifest in the slightest. I'd rather it just be like, I don't do that. but if you can imagine, if you see my stories or you see me in real life or you know what I'm about, then you get it. But I don't want to create this like fake atmosphere, because that's what social media kind of is and kind of always will be. But it's up to us to decipher and to understand that there's more to the story than what you see on the stories. But yeah, I just wanted to be safer in that front. So it was never really about brand or image, as I said here. It was more about just being isolated. Even this video on its own, like this was, I said now, like it's February. The protest and everything happened in June. It's been 6, 7 months, 8 months. But again, I didn't want to just say something at a time when it was like poignant or everyone's talking about it, and it will kind of come across as like, oh, you said it here because you had to say it here. Even though that's not the case at all. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still working it out. I'm still trying to think of how I can be an active participant, an active not a campaigner, but you know what I mean. I want to be an active part of the process, not a passive part, not a bystander. So I'm still figuring that out. But that's kind of why I didn't want to post at the time. I didn't want to be perceived as passive. Not just for me, because I don't really care how I'm perceived by others. But it's like, if others perceive me as passive and they think that I'm, as a black person, you see a lot of white people like, oh, Jordan's doing that, so maybe it's okay if I do that as well. And it's like, if you just see me doing this one thing and then you just do that one thing based on me, that's where the problem is. I think that's a better way to articulate it. But yeah, if you guys don't get it, peak, I guess. And the final point I have here is like, yeah, as I wanted to have a meaningful, scalable impact. That's something that kind of comes from me being here at uni, and you know, not just in uni, but even there are several facets of life where I've often felt like I'm the only one in the room. Be it, I'm obviously not literally the only one in the room, but like I'm at a top uni. I'm in my engineering class. There's only ever been like one other black student next to me. Sometimes like two, three, but never more than like. It's always been countable in one hand, right? Or a handful of people, of black people, sorry, in my course. And again, I'm not trying to say everyone should be black in every course, but at least be like proportional to the population of the country, right? But it's evident, not just at Bristol, but in other top unis and most of the higher, harder to reach institutions, I guess, of the world. It's just very white dominated, and I've always kind of felt like this one guy. But fundamentally, this is something that I said that I always think about when I see other people talking about this, other like successful black people talking about this matter. It's like, oh, I'm the only one in the room. But to me, it's like, if you're the only one in the room, don't be beat up about that. You can't be like Terry Crews or something. You're in like some corporate media facility. Oh, I'm the only guy here, man. I don't know what to do. I'm the only I get it. I'm not gonna shit on anyone for their thought process or their beliefs. It's completely fine. But just my approach is like, if I see myself in a room where I'm the only one here, I know for a fact there are enough guys outside, or enough guys outside. So many. Because I'm not gonna. I hate the comparison about working class and ethnic minorities, even though there is a clear correlation. It's not the same. We're not just, oh, you're black, you must be working class. It's not necessarily how it works. But you see this a lot, where it's like several working class people, a lot of black and other ethnic minorities. For the rest of this video, I'm just going to address black people specifically, because as a black man and the kind of top of this video. But you guys know what I mean when I say specifically black people. It also applies to a lot of other ethnic minorities. But it's like, we're struggling. It's hard to get into these top unis. It's hard to get into banking and finance and engineering and certain sports. Maybe not football or basketball. We kind of dominate that. But you don't really see many black people in golf or lacrosse or horse riding, whatever. And to be fair, I don't know any black guys that even want to do horse riding or lacrosse. But that's not the point. It's like, if you're in here, there are so many people that are still trying to get in. So it's not really my place to sit here and be like, oh, so many white guys in Bristol, so many middle class. I don't really feel like I belong here. Like, I might not feel like I belong here yet, but my whole point, the whole idea is that the next guys can get in. Like, I might be the only guy here now, but if I just open the door that I came through, suddenly there's more of us and more of us and more of us. Like, we need to have this +1, bring me in mentality. That's what nepotism is. I'm going off on a different tangent here, but we need to incorporate nepotism into our community a bit more. So that's kind of my other take. Like, I want to have more of a meaningful, scalable impact where I'm not really doing anything by posting on social media. Like, you can say spreading awareness, which again, I'll talk about a bit more at the end of the video anyway. But how is that scalable? How do I know how many people I spread awareness to? Did everyone already know that? Has everyone already seen me say this before? How am I measuring my successes here? Maybe that's just my numerical, like, engineering point of view. I'm always trying to be quantifiable. I like numbers. But yeah, I just wanted to do something that's meaningful, that's actively meaningful, not just like passive or no way to measure it. Because then it's easy to just post something and say, yeah, I helped, when it's like, how? What did you do to help? What changed after you posted that? So I wanted to have more of a meaningful, scalable impact. I guess continuing in that vein, I didn't really write much on this. Like, this is why I tried to write, so I didn't do stuff like this. But I talked to, how I was stressed out on socials, and I didn't want to speak out because I wanted to sleep on the issue and be calm and relaxed and stuff. I kind of want to address that as well, and kind of like why I was so stressed about that, why that was so difficult for me. And I mentioned it briefly as well, the whole performative acts on social media, which again we'll do in more depth later. But I didn't like how that kind of perpetuates, like false ideals, I guess, for lack of better words. It kind of perpetuates false ideals on social media, where it's like, yes, you're saying this, but do you really mean it? And then you quickly feel alone. You quickly start to, like, I might see someone posting something and I might be like, oh, this person, a good friend of mine, maybe want to talk to them. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, but is this genuine? And that just created so many, trust issues at the time. Like, I appreciate hearing from people when it's sincere, but on socials, I kind of feel like it just screams disingenuity. Disingenuity? I don't know, you know the word, you know what I'm trying to say. Like, it just screams like it's not real, it's not really genuine. And then when I try and reach out to these people, I had several instances where I could just tell these people were just reading off Instagram quotes, reading off social media statistics, reading off some opinion that they formed from one of the other black friends that I never really articulated right at the time, never really communicated it right, never really understood the message what they're trying to say, but they kind of took on board a few details and they're trying to put that back on me, and I'm like, you're not, like, I know what you're trying to say, but you're not saying it, and by saying it wrong, you're kind of not lying per se, but you're doing a disservice rather than a service. Like, you might think you're doing the right thing, but I'd rather, like, it's way better if people understand things or don't know things at all or understand it completely, rather than be in the middle somewhere, this whole like misunderstood grey area where it's like you're not really you're not really doing anything rather than really slowing down the process. Then people have to unlearn what you said and try and understand that later on. It just slows down the process, and that's something that's really annoyed me. Cause I saw a lot of people like, oh yeah, I'm doing something, and it's like, you're really not. You're actually low-key making things worse. And that kind of comes from learning to overlook and like see through the haze of socials and the haze of what people are saying. Like, I've always had an appreciation for like, actions speak louder than words, or I'd rather you show me something than you say something to me. And this even applies in like movies. I talk about this a lot. This is going to be another video, I guess, on like my take on movies, but it's like, show me, don't tell. Your show is so valuable, and a lot of people are just saying things, and you have to learn to to look through that. That's kind of like I mentioned, trust issues. Obviously, I'm not like, it's not that bad. I'm not playing Drake or anything at the moment, but it makes you really start to think more about what's going on. You really start to read between the lines. You really start to analyze people, not just on what they say, but on their actions or on their intention as well, because intent is quite important here. Like, are you just posting to look cool on socials, or do you actually believe in this? And that's evident from guys that are completely silent now, or were completely silent before. But that's, that kind of stressed me out a lot of the time. And again, the guys that didn't speak beforehand, I just mentioned this, guys that didn't speak before, that aren't speaking now, that kind of put a square up in the time and have since deleted it. Like, I see you. I see you lot. I know who you are. I should have taken like some screenshots or wrote some names down so I can call guys out, but obviously that's not how we do things around here. But I know, I see what's going on. I see what's going on. And yeah, I don't know, that's kind of it. I guess the only final point on like why I was really stressed out was because as I said, I kind of felt alone. There was guys that I couldn't really, people that I thought I could talk to that I couldn't talk to, and that's not necessarily because they were in the wrong, but it's like a lot of my other black friends were equally as stressed as I was, and I don't want to chat to you, let alone anyone else right now. Like, I'm dealing with this stuff, I'm processing this stuff, and the people that did want to talk, I felt a lot of guys were presenting more and more problems and not any solutions. That's not to say that there are solutions. I mean, I'll talk in a second about how I don't really think this is a fixable problem. Emphasis on the word fix, but it's like people were just speaking from a position of like opinions and fake stats as opposed to like actual facts, and they're just reinvigorating these more and more problems. This happened then, that and that. This person also died. That person also was arrested unfairly. Blah blah blah. And I'm not seeing any solutions. That's not to say that there should be a solution. It's not to say that it should be always taken in a positive vein, positive light. Because it was a bad time, and I'm not gonna deny that. But it still hurt me individually, like mentally, when I'm constantly just seeing black death, black pain, black suffering on the timeline. Like, I'm going on social media to kind of like escape all of that, not to, like, I don't just sit down on a good day. If I'm at a barbecue with my mates, I'm having a good time, I'm not just going to go on Instagram. I'm going to enjoy what's in front of me. When I'm in a world where there's nothing in front of me but work and a Tesla that I can't drive, of course I'm going to go on Instagram. And then you just show me even more stuff that I want to get away from. And then you suddenly get into the space where you're in lockdown, isolation. I was by myself in Bristol with no one around me. I couldn't talk to anyone. I couldn't even distract myself. It's like, what can I do here? That was ridiculous. That's why I bought a PS5 so quickly. I'm like, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, you're going to save me this year no matter what. New Game Plus, all of that, all the suits, that's on me. But that's a chat. That's a chat for my gaming channel coming soon. If this video gets 1 million likes, then I'll do a gaming channel tomorrow. But yeah, let's talk more, I guess, about what I was hoping to talk about in this video, was like my view on the issue, and then I guess like social media stuff as well. And my subtle issues with the whole spreading awareness mentality, but we'll talk about that again later on. So my overview, like my overall view of the issue, in terms of like, not Black Lives Matter specifically, but like I guess dealing with racism and like the way I deal with it and the way I plan. I don't know, I'm not really wording it right. I actually should have probably written a better, well-worded script than just like a bunch of random notes. But it's like, I genuinely don't think there's a way to fix the issue. I genuinely don't think the system can be fixed, because I don't think the system is broken. I think the world works the way it was advertised. This is how things have always been. This is where things are going to continue to be unless we actually change the system. You can't fix what's not broken. This system, as I said, is working the way it's supposed to work. The police are supposed to kill black people in America. That's kind of the way. I hate to say it. I know it sounds disgusting, and some people might disagree with me. But at the end of the day, this is how it's supposed to be. There's no surprise that when you if you talk specifically about the George Floyd incident, you called the shop owners allegedly called the police because George Floyd allegedly had a fake like $20 bill or something. They sent like four in like 2 police trucks. What for a fraudulent note? I've never seen that in my life. If you look at Breonna Taylor as well, allegedly the police thought there was a drug dealers going on. She was selling drugs through that house. They went into the house, just gunned her down. Like, why are you sending plainclothes officers, like, what was it, 4 guys, 5 guys, all with guns, not even like pistols, like machine guns and stuff, but shotguns, like actual proper weaponry, breaching a room. Like, these guys are sleeping, they didn't even knock on the door first. I mean, I guess I get it from a tactical standpoint. You're not going to like alert, if there actually was like a serious drug dealer there, you're not going to want to alert them. But still, you just bust through a door, you see there's 2 people in bed, and what, they just open fire? Like, why are you even bursting through the door with guns and open firing before they even look through the door? I think one guy was arrested for shooting through a wall or something. One of the police officers, the only one that got in trouble was one who shot through a wall. Didn't kill anyone, but because you couldn't see through the wall, so it's a problem. He was like I think he was fired or whatever. And it's like, literally shot a sleeping black woman who was a frontline worker. Well, I can't remember this specific terminology for it. She's like a medic. Like, you're going to tell me that's not working how it's supposed to work? Of course, if you're a bunch of idiots who scared of black people with guns, you're obviously going to run into these sort of issues. Like, that's how things are supposed to be. I hate to say it again. I know it's disgusting. I know some guys might disagree with me. But in my eyes, the system is working exactly how it's supposed to. We have to actually change it. You can't fix it. You have to actually, again, change it. And that begs the question, how do you change it? For me, I think it's got to be like gradual, systematic, methodical changes from the bottom and working our way up. Like, even if everyone in the world woke up tomorrow and said, oh, you know what, yeah, black lives do matter. Let's usher in a new era of equality. Like, if that actually happened tomorrow, things wouldn't change tomorrow. It would take years and years to change. Because let's say you wanted to be, I don't know, Prime Minister. That's the Prime Minister of the UK, that's the kind of the way, that's the person you think can make the most, change to the system, whatever. How do you become Prime Minister? Okay, cool. First, you need to be the leader of, the Labour Party, Conservatives, Green Party, whatever. You need to be the leader of a party. How many black people or ethnic minorities lead the party right now? None. So how do we get, our community to lead the party? First, you got to become an MP, or you got to go through, got to be a member of that party, and then you have to be allowed to like run for a specific area. So you got to be like the leader of an area or region or whatever. As far as I know, there aren't any other any people doing that. So how do we do that first? Obviously, there are several ways into that route. You can just like apply to be part of a Labour membership online and then work your way through the system and stuff like that. But for the most part, you need like a PPE or like a politics, economics degree from like Oxford, Cambridge, whatever. That's kind of the traditional route, I guess. How many people, how many black people are doing PPE in Oxford right now? Probably a few, but not enough to, again, make this long-term change. So how do you get more black people into Oxford to do PPE, basically? You've got to, pass interviews and get good A-levels and go to good schools, Harrow, Eton, all this crap. Like, the gap is from the bottom, not from the top. It's not like there are, several black people and ethnic minorities around here, but just none of us make it to the top. It's like, we're not even in the middle. We're not even really in the bottom. We're kind of just not even in the game yet. That's why I think even if this is a fixable thing, you make people think differently overnight, it's all going to take several years to make the relevant changes to actually live in a prosperous time. It's more responsible, I guess, to make the changes, to put the people with the power to make changes in a position to make those changes. Some influencers, we need more black leaders, like, again, in the position to make change, not just around posting on socials, kind of doing things. We need to actually have a unified approach, and that's kind of where my mentality comes from. I've written this down again very poorly, but to me, racism and like the battle we face is very much like a world war. It's very much like World War Zero, where there are so many little battles taking place, and every single battle, the battle of police brutality, the battle of institutional racism, the battle of representation in the media, all these little battles can't be won the way we're approaching them, right? Because we need to have an actual focused attack on every single front of these battles. And that comes from better leadership. That comes from better focus on the issue. When you talk about racism as a whole thing and discrimination, there are so many factors that come into that. Like, even if we were to wake up again, going back to the same analogy, wake up tomorrow and say, oh, black lives really do matter. Yeah, let's usher in a new era of equality with black people. What about all the other ethnic minorities? What about women? What about disabled people? What about the LGBTQA plus community? Like, there are so many different things going on right now in community, Well, to be fair, LGBT, that's not racism. Well, neither are women. It's not a racism thing. That's be sexism or what is it? Obviously, like homophobia is to do with like the L and the G, but I don't know what the other. I'm not woke, right? I'm half asleep right now, but you get what I'm trying to say. There are several issues, and there's no way to attack everything at once. So there needs to be actual. In my opinion, again, I want to stress that this is my opinion. That's why I'm in my opinion corner. If you guys have a different take, find your own corner. Find a corner in the comments. Let's have a conversation. But this is all my opinion. This isn't. I'm not saying that everything we've done is wrong and like I'm right. This is just my take on it. I'm obviously open to hearing more and learning more. But as I said, like we need focused attacks, and that comes from wartime mentality, I guess. Where you have your leaders, your sergeant, whatever, your people that know what's going on, they know the field. Maybe guys that already been there. I mentioned Terry Crews earlier. Maybe this guy sitting around in his corporate office somewhere on a film set, he knows how he got there. So we need guys like that, leaders in the fields. On YouTube, you've got like Marquette Brownlee, MKBHD. Obviously, Obama was like the flipping president of America. We've had guys around. We just need to actually open the door, as I said, to the next generation of people and organize, like, not literally attacks on these battles, but you know what I mean, like addressing the issues in a way that is accessible and reachable for other people within our community. And then gradually, over time, we getting better and better and better and better and better. Systematic, every year, every few years, improvements. If you help one person a day, that's 365 people a year. And if everyone else helps another person a day, change happens. It takes time and it takes focus and it takes leadership to actually guide us towards the right change, not just like doing random stuff for the sake of doing random stuff. That's kind of my take, I guess. And again, like I do see, like I mentioned, obviously Terry Crews, Marcus Brownlee, Obama, that there are of course people, leaders in these positions, but it's like they're very, again, going back to the wartime analogy, it's kind of like we're understaffed. We're kind of lacking in soldiers and fighters and active fighters. There's a lot of passive acts going on around now. I mentioned myself earlier. Sometimes I've been a victim of that myself with these passive posts and stuff. But you do see these like youth organisations, a social enterprise, political. There's in the UK with like the young parliament, youth parliament, or whatever. Like there are initiatives that exist that kind of take care of the issue, but they're not doing enough. It's not their fault. I think it's our fault for not engaging enough. There's not enough mentors out there. There's not enough leaders out there. There's not enough people that are saying like, okay, yeah, sure, I'm only in my second year, third year, fourth year. I haven't really completed my journey yet. But there are several guys that would kill themselves to even be where I am, let alone where I'm going to. So let me take some people along with me. There's no need to wait until you're at the top to then start bringing people through. You can do that the whole time. Get in a single file and systematically run through that together. That's kind of the way things have to be. And I think we, as a black community, and talking more specifically about myself, I need to take more of a long-term approach in thinking like, even if I do make it tomorrow, there's no guarantee that I'm going to get there and then open the door to everyone. Like I'm way better off every step of the way, like putting rose petals down so guys can follow my tracks in the future, as opposed to just getting there at the top and then trying to talk back down to people. Because even that kind of reflects badly on you. It's like it's harder to. At some point, you do become disconnected with where you came from and with like the general community. I guess I don't know if that's necessarily a fact that happens to everyone, but you look at the Kanyes of the world, you look at the certain people in the world that you see, you believe are disconnected, they're not really acting for us, and that's something that I don't want to, it's a trap that I don't want to fall into. But the best way to avoid that is by, again, staying close to your guys the whole way through, instead of just running off into the distance and then saying, hey everyone, I made it, and then, throwing a ladder down. Like, just do it as you go through. So that's my, a bit more emphasis on my take. My final take, my final solution, I guess, on, my overall view of the issue is that I think, contrary to, I think, popular belief, I think white people have a very, very important role to play here. I think, to some degree, we as a black community, we as black people, as minorities, we're kind of losing our value, not literally losing value, but it's like, we're kind of expected to say what we say now. It's kind of like, oh, of course you're going to say BLM because you're another black person. And I think that's a very cynical, kind of terrible mentality to have. But I've definitely noticed myself, like when I'm talking to people, they get it, but they don't really get it because it's like, yeah, again, you're supposed to say this. What's more valuable, I think, right now is people that aren't supposed to say these things. Then they're turning their heads around and saying, actually, no, you got it wrong. Because if I'm in a room, with all my friends, it doesn't mean much for me to go to my friends and say, anti-racism this, because all my friends, like, again, I don't want to spread this fake kind of ideology that, oh, I'm friends with a black person, therefore I'm not racist. Like, that's not how it works. But obviously there is still work to be done within most communities. But I'm not gonna change much by speaking to my inner circle, because we're already all on a similar playing field. We already have a similar mentality. The people that I need to speak to are the guys that are, again, in the position to make the changes. In terms of fixing the issue, I've got to speak to like the Boris Johnsons or the Nigel Farages, or obviously Donald Trump's not in charge anymore, but like Biden right now in America. We've got to speak to the guys at the top that can actually make these changes. Otherwise, it's kind of useless. But the fact of the matter is, I can't speak to them guys because I'm not in those rooms that they're in. We need people that are in those rooms to make these conversations happen. And until we can change the system from the bottom up and get our guys in those rooms, that's why I think we need more white people to actually speak out actively. Like, I hate when people say, "Oh, I'm an ally, yeah, anti-racist." Like, anyone can say that, but what are you actually doing? And also, where do you kind of draw the line between like being anti-racist or whatever, and then being, well, what's the difference, I guess, between being not racist and being anti-racist? Because if you can be not racist but then tolerate someone who is, and that doesn't really count as anti-racism. Like, if you're anti something, if you're against something, you will speak out irrespective of if that's if your mum said something dumb, you say that, "Mum, that's dumb," because you're anti it, you don't believe in that. But if you're just kind of sitting back, your friend says some racist stuff, you kind of just sitting there like, yeah, you shouldn't be saying that, but I'm not going to call you out on it. That's not really, it's not quite the same, not the same at all. Like, for example, I don't want to bring up another touchy subject, but you could be like, I don't know, anti-red clothes or something. You could be like anti-nudity or something, or anti-PDA in a relationship. If you see like your mate getting off with his girlfriend, you're like, "Oh, stop doing that. I don't want to see that." I don't want to see. Like, you're gonna call him out. You say, "Stop doing that." If you see someone doing that in public, you might call him out. Say, "What are you doing?" But you're not gonna do that when it comes to racism. Therefore, you can't call yourself anti-racist if you're not doing anything. That's a terrible example. I know I just gave a terrible example, but I'm not here to give examples. I'm here to sit in a corner and give my opinion on matters. But yeah, that's why I think. Again, I think it's contrary to popular belief. I think a lot of people would disagree with me on this point, and if you do disagree with me, I do want to hear your thoughts on why I might be wrong here. But I genuinely feel like the whole mentality, the whole like anti-white savior mentality. I mean, white savior is a bit different because they take a lot of credit for doing not so much. That's wrong. Obviously, you're not like, you didn't save racism. Like, you literally made it in some capacity. That's not completely fair to say, but you know what I mean. Like, I get it. I understand that side of the argument, but at the same time, like, we can't. I'm not in those rooms. I can't communicate to other white people the same way as white people can to themselves or to their friends or their families or whatever. That's why I think it's way better. They communicate way better to each other than I ever could. And if my idea is that I want the best possible solution, I want us to work out. I don't care. Maybe that's a Machiavellian in me, where it's like it's a means to an end, right? I might not like how it's done, but as long as it's done, at the end of the day. Well, I mean, there is a bit of discrepancy there. I do kind of like how things are done as well, but you want it to be done sooner rather than later. It might not be the best possible way in your individual opinion, but if your goal is met, your goal is met. So I don't know, it's difficult. I think fundamentally what I'm trying to say is I'm thinking more about strategy. I'm thinking more about individual battles I can help with versus like fixing the whole issue. It's like, how can I help open safe spaces with a podcast? How can I help financing my friends or whatever by buying, supporting black businesses? How can I do my part as opposed to like, how can I fix everything? Like, all I'm trying to do is my bit, and then hopefully if everyone else does their bit, if everyone plays, the strikers play striker, the left wings play left wing, defenders do their defending. If everyone does their part, the team has a chance of winning. You can't have everyone all guns blazing straight out attack, because that's why we've been losing for so long. In my opinion, we've been losing for so long because everyone's taking the same front when there are several fronts that need to be dealt with. And yeah, that's kind of my take. The final thing I want to mention on that, which is very brief as well, is that I want to act more, again, like, yes, with a long-term focus, but more closer. When I want to adjust my part, it's like literally like my inner circle. I deem to be more important, at least in the short term, than like the wider community, because my voice is amplified in my spaces. If I just tweet some stuff, yeah, okay, I can reach 700 or so people that follow me, but it's not like they're all going to see what I say and know exactly my context, my perspective, my opinion. Like, it's hard to speak to everyone at once, whereas I can speak to my brothers, my sister, my family, my friends, and I can deal with my community first. That's the way you kind of, you deal with your neighbours, your community, your family. There are several people in my area that I, over here on the buses or whatever. I don't get buses anymore, I drive everywhere. But back in the day, it's like, oh man, I'm on track to get BBC. Yeah, I'm gonna go to like an average uni. I'm applying to work at Iceland and Tesco's, and that's great. I'm not condemning anyone to working at Iceland or Tesco's, but it's like I know I can tell you guys have bigger ambitions that they do want to work. Maybe not necessarily in finance or engineering, but like in Sky broadcasting, people want to work in cool positions, but they don't have the first of all they don't have the resources or the access to those roles, and then beyond that, even if they did have the access, they haven't even got the greater ambition. Like people don't really want to do that anymore. People are like, you know what, I'll just be a YouTuber. I'll just sell things that I can't talk about selling on YouTube. I'll just do other things. But the path is there. The path does exist, and the fact that I'm on step one of that right path, all I have to do is say, nah, don't do that. Do this. It's not going to get you over there, but it'll at least get you on a better path based on obviously individual preferences. I'm not going to say everyone should go through university, but it's just spreading that awareness. And like the fact that my own neighbours, people in my own community are kind of losing focus says a lot about my localized effect versus like some crap I put on YouTube or Twitter or whatever. So that's kind of my approach. I want to deal with more local things. I want to deal with like family first. I can't remember the saying is that charity starts at home or something. The best charity starts at home or something. But you kind of want to deal with that. At least I do. Me personally, I want to deal with that first. My own closer inner circle, then work my way out. Because if I can affect that ring, at least then the ring is acting instead of just me. Through like a reduced capacity, I guess. And yeah, that's I guess that's my closing thoughts on like my view of the issue. The last part of the video that I was, to be fair, most of the video was going to be on social media and spreading awareness, but I was like, you know what, I don't want to just attack everyone. That's why I kind of had like a very baseless script, and I kind of went through things in some sort of order. But yeah, I guess what do I think on socials, spreading awareness, and all of the stuff we saw online in that era. Did I say era right? I don't know, it doesn't matter. But the point is, like, I'm not going to condemn anyone again for like spreading awareness, but what I do want to, what I've been trying to stress for so long is that spreading awareness isn't a measurable, quantifiable thing. Like, it's hard to measure your impact on spreading awareness, and I think I've written down like a paragraph on this one because I'm an idiot. But it's like, if you're seeing, like summarising what I said here, it's like if you're seeing something several times, the chances are everyone has already seen it several times. Not every share is weighted equally in terms of spreading awareness. Like if you're early to if you're the first person to record something and put it on social media, obviously everyone's seeing it for the first time. But if I'm going on Instagram now and I see, okay, John posted this, Michelle posted that, Dan posted this, like everyone's posting the same thing, how many more people do I genuinely think are going to see it for the first time by me sharing it? The fact of the matter is, it's not that many. But beyond that, the greater fact is that there's no way to track it. There's no way to know for sure. And the point of this paragraph, I don't know why I wrote so many words here, but the whole point is that people shouldn't be patting themselves on the back or taking so much pride in just spreading awareness. Because yes, okay, spreading awareness as a thing is great, but for any individual, how do you know that you're reach? And again, I'm not calling anyone out. It's not like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that because it's not helping. Like, you should do that. It's literally the easiest thing you can do is like click on share and put it on your story or whatever. But it's like, if you're just doing that and you're taking credit from that, like, I think that's crazy. I think that's lunacy. I think you're very much, this kind of goes back to what I was saying before as well. Like, it's kind of what I said at the beginning is basically based on what I'm saying now. When it's like seeing performative acts and stuff and disingenuity online. But it's like, you're just taking this one, the smallest, it's not literally fool's gold, because to some degree, again, spreading awareness is helpful. But to some, like, it's fool's gold, man. To some degree, it's like, yeah, share the post. That's literally the easiest thing you can do. You haven't spoken to anyone, you haven't read any books, you haven't invested in any black businesses, you haven't spoken to any of your other black friends on the issue to see how they're doing, you haven't learned anything, you're just reading a couple of Instagram stories and then potentially sharing it. And potentially, the idea is that people see what you post and they learn from that and they themselves read into it further, or you're spreading awareness. Now I'm aware of what's going on in China and India and etc. etc. But what does that mean? I don't know. It's hard to go into it without, again, sound like I'm just attacking everyone, which is kind of, again, why I slept on the issue for so long. But it's like, let's try our best to like mobilize ourselves and actually do things in the community, or at least celebrate those who are doing things, because a lot of these posts just don't mean anything. It's like, oh yeah, one share. I remember back in the Facebook days, like one share equals one prayer. Like, flipping donate. Put some money down. I don't want to see. Don't speak with your Facebook page. Speak with your, speak with your. Put your money where your mouth is, not your status. Because that doesn't. It's not. Yes, again, like I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I'm not trying to say it's invaluable to spread awareness. But it's about recognizing that not every share is weighted equally, and it's not fair for you to give yourself infinite credit for sharing a post when the fact of the matter is you're probably not reaching that many people. And even if you are, you still shouldn't sit on just that, because again, fundamentally, on average, you're not sharing to that many people, and you have to take the average, not the upper limit. Not even the lower limit. Just literally take the average. You're probably spreading it to like 5 people. And if we all kind of live by that, like if I share a post, 5 guys will learn something. That's quantifiable, right? Now you can say, okay, I've shared 6 things to those same 5 people. Let me actually go and do something else to address the other 700 followers I have or something, because that's just way more meaningful. And I think fundamentally, like, social media kind of creates a toxic environment for people. Like this whole idea where it's like you have to pick a side, or or else, or you're cancelled. It's like either for us or against us. Silence is violence. This whole mentality that's like, if you don't interact with this one post right now, then you must be against me. And it's like, look, I just want time to read the facts. I just want to know what's going on. And this whole environment that social media cultivates, kind of, how I want to use the word manifest, but I don't even know how to put it into a sentence right now. But it's like you're kind of cultivating this like very toxic environment where people don't feel safe to say what they actually believe in. They don't actually feel secure enough to, speak their own mind, speak their own opinions, and that's toxic. That's terrible, because even in the idea of, if you're racist, I don't want to hear from you anyway. That's on you, innit? Go and mind your own business. That's not me apologizing or celebrating racist guys. If you're an All Lives Matter guy, like, stop watching this video. Okay? I don't want your engagement. But at the end of the day, like, people are free to some degree to think how they want to think, and I'd rather know that this person is racist, this person is not an ally, than have them just say they are because flipping you're gonna attack them otherwise. That's not meaningful to me. That's not helpful to me. I want to go outside and know who I can trust, who I can talk to, who I can reside with, as opposed to just not knowing anything and having this fake. Like, no matter how trivial it is, I want to know. I want to know. Stop with this. To some degree, yeah, you do have to pick a side to some degree, but forcing people to make a public comment or something at any given time is really stupid. Like, just don't speak for the sake of it. If people are pressuring you to speak, just tell them, look, I want to read more about it. I want to understand more of the facts. I want to wait and see how things play out. Yes, I think they might be trivial. On the topic of like Black Lives Matter and the protest that went on in the world last year, if you're saying, I'm not going to go to this protest, I want to learn more about why I should trust black people. Like, if you're saying that, you're an idiot. But fair, fair. At least you're being honest. At least you're being upfront with your intention. At least you're telling me what your take is. Don't just show up and then kind of half-assed mentality. I want to know. I'd rather know whether it's good news or bad news. I want to know. It's news. I want to know. And that kind of comes to a bigger question, I guess, of like avoiding tribalism, polarization. People often use polarization when it comes to like politics or political polarization. It's kind of dumb. I don't think it should be as not tangible, but like it shouldn't be. There aren't 2 teams in anything really. This should be the era of the spectral era, the spectrum era, where everything. People need to understand that things operate on the spectrum. There's no like this or that. It's literally like more on this side or more on that side, and that kind of applies to everything. But again, my take again is like, I want to avoid that. There's no easy way to avoid seeing polar opposites on social media because of that whole mentality where you're either with us or against us. Like, we're going to like your post or we're going to report you. Like, I think that's crazy. I'd rather people just speak for themselves, speak for you and only you. Like, even this video, I'm not trying to speak on behalf of all my friends, all black people, all Bristol students, nothing like that. I'm Jordan. I'm speaking for Jordan. Anyone is free to disagree or agree with what I'm saying. I'm not on any side other than my own side. Everything else in life is variable. The only constant in my life is the facts that I'm living it. So yeah, like, I want to encourage guys on social media, before you share something or before you engage in something, try and understand the perspective of that person. Try and understand the agenda, before you amplify their voice to everyone. And then fundamentally understand who you're talking to and understand that, you're not obligated to speak on behalf of anyone. You can say what you want to say. And to be fair, I'm mostly speaking to people that are not on my side. I'm not speaking to guys that agree with me in this case. Like when it comes to this, what I'm talking about here, like speaking for yourself, I'm mostly speaking to guys that don't agree with me. People that are maybe were really angry that the coaching statue went down. It's like, okay, if you're angry about that, be angry. Don't tell me that it's fine, and then behind my back you're saying, "Oh, f that n word." Like, just be upfront so I know who you are, and then so I can get rid of you. But yeah, that's kind of it. This has been a very very long video. There's not really much I can cut out that I think, so you're just gonna have to enjoy 50 or so minutes of content. Before I go, I do want to mention some of the. I know I mentioned like George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Rashard Brooks as well, but like Alton Sterling, rest in peace. Trayvon Martin, that one hurt me a lot. He was a young kid. Eric Garner, obviously Ahmaud Arbery I mentioned, and then in the UK, I'm not even too familiar with many UK cases, but of course Mark Duggan was a standout one. Shukri Abdi, I think, was the girl who was like murdered by her classmates recently, and nothing's happened about that. I think that's really crazy. So like rest in peace to all those guys. Shout, because I don't want it to be like purely negative. I want to shout out guys like Lewis Hamilton, Raheem Sterling, Marcus Rashford. These guys that are doing bits in the community. Michaela Cole. Shout out to her especially. I don't know exactly what happened, but I know there was like some nomination that went by recently. I've seen loads of guys sharing the post of it. She didn't get any credit for her show basically, whereas some like random white girl. Again, I haven't read the post in depth, so maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe the white girl who did whatever she did didn't. Maybe she deserved that beyond white privilege. Maybe she actually made her the best show of all time. But irrespective, I've seen a lot of outrage on that, so I'm gonna have to assume. Based on the guys that are sharing it, that I trust in, that Michaela was done dirty there. So shout out Michaela Cole, and oh yeah, Jason Black. I finally got a pack of Crep Protect. So shout out Jason Black for that, man. That's a real one out there. But yeah, that's it. I don't know what else to say on the issue. Obviously, I've got loads of thoughts. I'm 22 years of history right here. But I just wanted to speak more specifically on what happened last year, because that was ripe on my mind. It's been on my mind for so long. So it's refreshing to finally get it out. But yeah, that's it. Shop at Artist Name Nobody. Shop at Prosper. I need to get the Prosper poster up here. And then Opinion Corner as well behind me. The next Opinion Corner installment won't be like this. I actually want to talk a bit about football. So maybe I'll do like an Arsenal post. Another like 50-minute video on Arsenal is me talking smack for an hour. But yeah, that's it from me, guys. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Again, I'm doing fine. I'm not stressed out. I was before, but I'm not stressed. I'm fine. But if anyone out there is stressed or angry or wants to know more about what happened, well, not even what happened last year, just like the history of of black people, I guess, feel free to message me. I'm by no means all knowing or anything, but I'm happy to have the conversation if guys want to. But other than that, it's been good. Hope you guys have enjoyed it, taking something away from it. And I'll talk to you guys in episode 2 of the Opinion Corner game challenge, whatever. Okay, peace.